Hello friends, welcome back to the S3 Cloud Hub. So in the previous session we show how to build a PHP image. Now in this session again we will build one more custom Docker image. We will build a Python Flask image. So without any further ado, let's start the session. So this time, we will create a Python web server image. Now as you can see, I am on my Docker directory. And here, I am going to create a new directory, called Flask. And let's navigate into it. So this one is going to be a Flask Python image, that is a web server. Now let's go ahead and open this up in our code editor. So it is going to open Visual Studio Code Editor. Now here, the Flask image project will need three files. An app.py file, which will be the base Python script for the application. Next it will have requirement.txt file, which outline what library dependencies are needed for the Python application. And then most importantly we have the Docker file, to instruct how to build the Docker image. So let's make those files. app.py, then requirements.txt, and then finally the Docker file. Now let's begin creating this image with the app.py file. We'll quick set up a Flask application to server a message at the root/endpoint. To begin we import the Flask module, from the Flask library location. So from Flask, here note that this is lowercase. Then we are going to import Flask module, which is now uppercase. And then we import markup safe, so from jinja2.utils, and then import markup safe. Then we create an app variable, so app, and since app.py is the main file. The scope, in other words this name over here, will be set to the value of main a string, and that name is also __name__. Now this a Python convention, so as long as you have this line, this should set up the app for the Docker container, which is the crucial part. Now we can use this app to set up a root. In Flask to set up a root we use the root function with a special decorator on the app variable. We'll say app.root, it's gonna happen on our /endpoint marked by string over here. Then we provide a method, so let's call this method response. So we'll say def, response, then colon, and then as a result, let's return a string, that says, hello world, and in this time we'll say from S3 Flask container. Let's make sure that we're going to run the application from this app.py file in Flask. It's conventional to check that our scope is main. So if the main variable is truly __, main __, then with a colon after this if statement, we need app.run function, and then we specify with a keyword argument that our host is the default host of 0.0.0.0 to accept all connections, and then a port is 80. Alright. Now we have this app.py file completed. Now we need to complete our requirements.txt file, since a container won't be able to provide the Flask module automatically without properly installing it. So head to requirements.txt, and then we'll specify Flask as a dependency. And then give it a version of 0.12. And then we need two more to install. Jinja2. And its version is going to 3.0.1. And the third one is its dangerous, version is 2.0.1, and a new line at the end of the file. So now we have enough in terms of our Python and Flask files in order to build this Docker image. Now let's go to our Docker file. So first here, let's say from, and let's say use Python version 3. Then let's set a working directory for a container. This working directory is helpful, since any following command like copy and command will now run in the context of this location. Then here we are going to copy the requirements.txt file to the home location, or rather the location set by the working directory. And then let's use the run command to install all the requirements. So let's run pip install -r for open a requirement.txt, and then requirement.txt, so this will install all the requirements that we have specified. And then we copy over all of the code files, so copy, and then 2 dots. Then we are going to expose port 80. And then finally we have default command cmd, then we are going to run Python on app.py. So now we have our Docker file complete, and we can create our Docker image using this. So let's open our terminal. Now let's build this Flask image. So we are going to run docker build, a dot. Then we will have our familiar naming convention with username, and then the project name, which is Flask. So it will pulls from the Docker Hub the Python image, to take a moment or so to downloading. And soon enough, we have our successfully built image. Now let's clear this. Now I am going to run this container, and create one based off of this image. So docker run, the name is going to be Flask. And then port is going to be 3000. But map it to 80. And then again w3 cloud hub/flask. And as we do so, notice that it says running on the host and the port. So let's go to our browser, and then visit our local host. And as we do so, while we get a message, hello world from S3 Flask container. I hope you all guys are now clear with it. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. I will see you in the next lecture. If you have any question or any doubt, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will answer you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye and have a nice day.